Canto 8, Chapter 5, text 7, but it's no purpose for like a few verses, so it's going to be like 16 years. So I'll just do them myself and then do that. Shastascha chakshusha putras chakshusha sho nama vaivamano purupurusha sudyumna pramukhas chakshushatmaja. The son of Chakshu, known as Chakshusha, was the sixth Manu. He had many sons headed by Puru, Purusha and Sudyumna. Indro mantra drumastatra deva apadayoganaha munayastatra vairajan havishmad virakadaya. During the reign of Chakshusha Manu, the king of heaven was known as Mantra Druma. Among the demigods were the Apyas, and among the great sages were Havishman and Viraka. Tatrapi deva sambhutyam vairajya sabhavat sitaha ajito nama bhagavan amshena jagatapati. In this sixth Manvantara millennium, Lord Vishnu, the master of the universe, appeared in his partial expansion. He was begotten by Viraja in the womb of his wife Deva Sambhuti, and his name was Ajita. Payodim yena nirmatya suranam sadita sudha brahmamano nambasiddhaha kurma rupena mandara. By churning the ocean of milk, Ajita produced nectar for the demigods. In the form of a tortoise, he moved here and there, carrying on his back the great mountain known as Mandara. Shiraja vacha yatha bhagavata brahman matita shirasagara yadartham vayatas jadrim dadarambo charatmana yathamritam surai praptam kim chanyad abhavat tataha etad bhagavata karma vadasva paramadbhutam. King Parikshit inquired, O great Brahmana, Shukadev Goswami, why and how did Lord Vishnu churn the ocean of milk? For what reason did he stay in the water as a tortoise and hold up Mandara mountain? How did the demigods obtain the nectar? And what other things were produced from the churning of the ocean? Kindly describe all these wonderful activities of the Lord. Dvaya sankatayam manena mahimna satvatam pate natitriptya michitam suchiram tapatapitam. My heart, which is disturbed by the three miserable conditions of material life, is not yet sated with hearing you describe the glorious activities of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of the devotees. Shri Sutau Vacha Samprishto Bhagavan Dvaipayana Sutta Dvijaha Abhinandya Hare Viryam Abhaya Chashtam Prachakrame. Shri Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas assembled here at Naimisharanya, when Shukadev Goswami, the son of Dvaipana, was thus questioned by the king, he congratulated the king and then endeavored to describe further the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is verse 15 and 16. Shri Shukha Vacha Yadha Yudhe Surer Deva Bhadyamana Sita Yudhai Gatasavo Nipatita Nutishteran Smaburishaha Yadha Durvasha Shapena Sendra Lokastrayo Nipaha Nishriksha Bhavam Statra Neshu Ija Daya Kriyaha. Shishukha Vacha Yada Yudhe Surer Deva Bhadyamana Shita Yudhe Gatasavo nipatita Nuteshiran smaburishaha Yada durvasa shapena Sendra lokastrayo nipa Nishtrikascha pavamstatra Nishur ija dayakriyaha Shri Shukhovacha Yudhayudhe Sardeva Padyamana Sitayudai Katashvanupatadita Nautishtaran Smaburishaha Yadadurvasa Shapena Sandra Lokatra Nishkriyacha Bhavantatra Nishuija Adakriyaha Shishukhovacha Yetayudher Suradeva Padyamana Shitayudhai Katashvanupatita Nautishtaran Smaburishaha Yadadurvasha Shapena Sandra Lokatrayonipa Nishikacha Bhavam Tatra Nishu Ijya Dadaya Kriha Shishika Vacha Yadayudhe Shure Deva Padyamana Shitayudhe Gatasavo Nipatita Nuteshtaran Smaburishaha Yadadurvasha Shapena Sendra Lokastrayonipa Nihishvikascha Pamstatra Nichaya Dayakriya Shri Shukhovacha Shri Shukadev Goswami said Yada when Yudhe end of fighting Asure by the demons Devaha the demigods Badyamanaha besieged Chitta Ayudhai by serpent weapons Gata Asvaha almost dead Nipatita some of them having fallen Na not Uteshtiran got up again Sma so became Burishaha the majority of them Yatha when Durvasaha of Durvasa Muni Shapena with the curse Sandra with Indra Lokatraya the three worlds Nipa O king Nihishvika without any material opulence Ja also Abhavan became Tatra at that time Nishu could not be performed Ijya Adayaha sacrifices Kriyaha ritualistic ceremonies. Translation Shukadev Goswami said, when the Asuras with their serpent weapons severely attacked the demigods in a fight, Many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty-stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious. Please repeat. Sukadeva Goswami said, when the Asuras, with their serpent weapons, severely attacked the demigods in a fight, many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty-stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is described that while Durvasa Muni was passing on the road, he saw Indra on the back of his elephant and was pleased to offer Indra a garland from his own neck. Indra, however, being too puffed up, took the garland and without respect for Durvasa Muni, he placed it on the trunk of his carrier elephant. The elephant, being an animal, could not understand the value of the garland, and thus the elephant threw the garland between its legs and smashed it. Seeing this insulting behavior, Durvasa Muni immediately cursed Indra to be poverty-stricken, bereft of all material opulence. Thus the demigods, afflicted on one side by the fighting demons and on the other side by the curse of Durvasa Muni, lost all the material opulences in the three worlds. To be extremely opulent in materialistic advancement is sometimes very risky. The materially opulent person does not care about anyone, and thus he commits offences to great personalities, such as devotees and great saints. This is the way of material opulence. As described by Shukadeva Goswami, Dana Durma Danda, too much wealth makes one blind. This happens even to Indra in his heavenly kingdom, and what to speak of others in this material world. When one is materially opulent, he should learn to be sober and well-behaved Vaishnavas and saintly persons, otherwise he will fall down. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhastam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadam Tika. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Shukadeva Goswami said, when the Asuras with their serpent weapons severely attacked the demigods in a fight, many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty-stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious. So this section of the Bhagavatam is now going to describe another pastime where the Lord appears to protect demigods. So it's interesting that this whole pastime, the previous pastime of Gajendra was in a particular manner, so it's describing the different manus. So, so in the previous manu, where Gajendra was delivered, that was Tamasa Manu, in the vein of Tamasa Manu. So now Shukadeva Goswami is going to describe the Chakshusha Manu, which is the sixth Manu. So that was the fifth Manu. This Chakshusha Manu is the sixth Manu. And in this particular Manu's reign, then this particular pastime took place. So before I go into the pastime, then I was thinking I could go over the reason why this is described, because there's many topics in the Bhagavatam and that are described, and one of the topics is Sarga or Visarga, Sarga and Visarga, which is about the creation. And then there's also Stanam, which is the planetary systems. Poshanam is protection by the Lord, and Uttaya, creative impetus or desires. And the Manvantara is the reign of the Manus. So the reign of the Manus is one of the topics that's described in the Bhagavatam. So that's why in this particular part of the Bhagavatam, there's different Manus are being described. So in the previous Manu, there was the Gajendra Moksham, and the Lord appeared in that to deliver Gajendra. And this one, there's going to be another incarnation of the Lord who appears in this Chakshusha Manu, and that is the Ajita, who takes the form of the tortoise, Kurma. And then that's how he saves the demigods. So just like so Vedic time is described as it's not linear. So in the modern world, scientists are saying that time is linear. It has a beginning and an end. But in Vedic, according to the Vedas, this is not the case, but it's actually cyclic. And actually, this is very natural because we see that everything is cyclic, like the days and nights. We don't think that after a day and a night that's the end. We assume there's going to be another day at the end of it. So the days and nights continue in a cyclic way. And same as the seasons, we see that the seasons, there's spring, summer, winter, autumn and winter. And we see that at the end of winter, we're not going to think that's the end. We automatically know that it's going to be a spring. So there's a cycle of them. So as the cycles of seasons carry on and the days and nights carry on in cycles, then we also have a cyclic form of time where there's a creation, a maintenance, and a destruction, and then creation takes place again. So history moves in a succession of great cycles called Divya Yugas. So according to the Vedic text, then it gives minute details on the lengths of these cycles. So as you can see, we're in a certain age called Kali Yuga, which is the Iron Age. So there's 4 ages called Yugas. So the 4 Yugas are Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali. So Satya is like the golden age, Treta is the silver age, Dwapar is the copper age, and Kali is the Iron Age. So in this way, the cycles continue. So after this age of Kali, then Satya Yuga will start again. So in this way, all these different yugas are continuing on eternally. And so what is a Manu? A Manu is a progenitor of humanity that appears. There's 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. So the Manu is, the Manvantara is the duration of a Manu. So it's like a father of mankind. So man, the word man comes from the Sanskrit word Manu. So Manu is like father of mankind, and man comes from that word Manu. So the 4 ages, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, they equal 1 Divya Yuga. 1 Divya Yuga is 4.32 million years. And then 71 of these Divya Yugas is 1 Manvantara, of the reign of 1 Manu. So it's a very big length of time. And we can see from the Bhagavatam that everything is so detailed, everything is so perfectly arranged and created that it's not like an approximate time or, there's no speculation. It's all precise. Everything is so precise. There's 71 Divya Yugas, and that equals 1 kalpa. 14 Manvantaras equals 1 kalpa. So 71 Divya Yugas equals 1 Manvantara. That's the length of duration of 1 Manu. And then 14 Manus are in 1 day of Brahma. And Brahma lives for 4.32 billion years. That's just as 1 day. That's just as one day. So there's 36,000 kalpas or days and the same number of nights in one day of Brahma. We can't even imagine how long that duration of time is. It's trillions of years. It's 311.04 trillion years. So it's we can't just make this up. It's not just something that's been made up. It's beyond the cosmic scale of the Bhagavatam. Is describing the cosmos in such precise ways that it can't be made up. And so it's describing the history of the universe. It's not describing the history of this small earth, but it's actually describing the history of the universe. And at this particular pastime is taking place in a particular age called the Chakshush Manu, in the reign of the 6th Manu. So as I said, there was 14 Manus, and this pastime took place in the 6th Manu, and we're actually in the current 7th Manu, Vavastavata Manu. So this is the Manu before our age. So when a Manu appears, then along with him comes a team of demigods that help him manage things, manage the cosmos. So that's why it's described in a particular reign. This Chakshusha Manu had such and such demigods and such sages who appeared with him. So in this particular Manu, then we see that there was a particular pastime that took place because because of the curse of Durvasa Muni. So Indra was on his elephant, and he was being very much himself and proud of his opulence and power. And Durvasa Muni is a great sage, and he gets very quickly angry. He gave Indra the garland, and Indra, instead of honoring the garland, he put it on the trunk of the elephant. And the elephant doesn't know the garland is so special, so he throws it on the ground and smashes it with his legs. So in this way, Durvasa Muni felt insulted by Indra. And so he cursed Indra that he would lose all his opulence. So that's why the whole world, 3 worlds, became poverty-stricken. So demigods are living in the heavenly regions of the creation. And within that, they have so much opulence. But because of this curse, they lost all the opulence. And they lost their power to actually fight the demons because they got defeated by the demons. So in this way, there was, as the story goes further, we're reading, I don't want to tell the whole story because I know it'll spoil most of it. But then the pastime of the churning of the ocean of milk took place, and the Lord appeared as Kurma to help the churning of the ocean of milk so that they could obtain many things from this ocean. So when they were churning the ocean, so many things appeared from the ocean, and one of them was a pot of nectar. And that nectar was actually to help the demigods revive again, and have a long life. So then there was a fight between the demigods and the demons. And so this is described further. But we can see from this Bhagavatam that there's so many amazing things that are happening within the universe, on different levels of the universe that we're not aware of. It is like if you put a small ant in a skyscraper building, how much is this ant going to understand of how the structure of the skyscraper is? Or how is it going to understand what's happening in the whole skyscraper building? It's so tiny compared to it. So we're on this small planet Earth, and we don't really know what's happening in all the different planets of the universe. We don't know what's happening in other universes. So, but the Bhagavatam gives us this knowledge. And that's why it's perfect, because it doesn't keep changing like the modern theories, modern scientific theories. So, and everything is so precisely described. The whole the cosmic scale of things is described in the Bhagavatam. And it's very scientific knowledge that's given to us from above to help us understand with our tiny little brains that there is actually so much more than this planet Earth. And so many times within the Bhagavatam, this process of creation is described. It comes up about 7 times in the whole Bhagavatam, so that we can actually understand that there is an intelligent design behind the cosmos. It's not just happened by chance. And there's a whole system of creation, maintenance, and destruction that takes place. And many times there is a devastation and a partial devastation, and then things get created again. So it's not happened by chance or some big bang. There's a perfect design behind the creation. And also the personalities that are appearing are not, they are very exalted and very learned. They can create planets, they can create species of life. It's all under the Manus. The Manus are actually helping Brahma create the different species of life. Every time there's a creation, it's not that it all changes after one creation and a different creation takes place. It all stays the same. It's like the planets are created in a certain way, certain arrangements are made within the universe, certain species of life are created. And Srila Prabhupada explains that it's not an approximate, number or speculation. There's 200,000 species of this, or there's 300,000 species of this. It's exact. It's not some random figure. So similarly, the planets, the amount of planets there are, the length of the universe, the length between each planet is described in the Bhagavatam. So many intricate details are described so that we can understand there is a big arrangement behind this cosmos. It's not just happening by chance. And all these different personalities, these demigods, these sages, that they're all present within different planets, and they help and control these planets. It's like a big managerial cosmos management taking place that we're not aware of. But we can understand this from the Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam is giving us so much knowledge of what we cannot see with our mundane eyes, with our material eyes, because we're so limited with our material bodies to understand what's beyond. So therefore we take the descending form of knowledge coming down from above, instead of trying to find with our own sense perception or our own limited understanding of things or our limited senses, then we take knowledge from above, those who have created this cosmos. So just like when we have a machine in this, we buy a machine, it comes with a manual so that we know how to work the machine, and it's all precisely described how to work, how to do what to make it work. Similarly, when the creation takes place, the Vedas are created so that this is like the manual for the creation, and to help us understand how it all works and what we're supposed to do in order to make our life perfect. So this is all described in the Vedas. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of all Vedic literature. So what's described in the Bhagavatam is the highest from all the Vedas. It's a condensed knowledge that is giving us the highest knowledge, so that we can actually understand how this cosmos works and how to get out of it and what's beyond it. So this is all described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's very important that we understand how to understand this knowledge, how to apply it, so that we can actually get free from this cycle of birth and death. Another cycle, birth and death is another cycle. So everything's cyclic, according to the Vedic way of seeing things. Is there any questions or comments on this?
In one day of Brahma, there's 17 manus?
71.
71.
Oh, no, 14, sorry, 14 manus.
14 manus, just in one day.
Yeah.
So, how many... In Brahma's one day, there's 1,000...
1,000 ages, 1,000 Divya Yugas in one day of Brahma.
Okay. So that means 1,000 divided by 14 is how many Kali Yugas each Manu sees. So in terms of their lifetime, then Kali Yuga must just last a few days. Huh?
Well, they have a different level, isn't it? It's like their time, the time scale is different on the planet, on the heavenly planets. So one moment there is like a year here.
I was listening to David Attenborough the other day, and he was speculating his head off again as usual. And he was saying this little ant has been around for 3 million years. And he's talking about millions and then billions of years. But he's not talking about trillions of years. So the Vedic literature kind of opens things right up, onto a bigger scale to see. Because if you start talking in terms of trillions of years, you realize how little you really know, because we occupy such a tiny fraction of time on the cosmic scale. And you were saying that the ant is in the skyscraper. And the ant is not going to live long enough to figure out, even if he starts going from one room to the next. After he's done a few rooms, he'll be dead, right?
Yeah, so our lifespan is so small. And even if we have a lifespan of the demigods, still they also die. So there's 14 Manvantars. So once one Manu dies, then another Manu is created. So there's 14 of them in one day of Brahma.
So is that is Indra and all the other demigods? They only live as long as one Manu. There's a fresh Indra every next day.
There's a fresh group of demigods that come with each Manu. So, or sages. So.
Just to follow up on what Adoksaja was asking, there's this pastime where they churn the ocean of milk and they get this nectar, and this nectar gives immortality. So how could we have a different set of demigods if they've been made immortal by the nectar?
They're not really immortal. I mean, it gives them a long life, but not immortal. They all have to die at some point. The body has to die at some point, but they're given a long life, basically.
Yeah, because I read somewhere that some saints and sages, they get promoted to, is it Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where at the end of creation they have the opportunity via what they have there to leave the material world and go to the spiritual world. So if this is happening to some beings, I just wondered if this is the sort of thing that might happen to demigods as part of their reward for their service. They get given the immortality to live till the end of the material creation. Just a question.
I'm not sure, because the heavenly planets are different from the higher planets, so they may have a different length of duration of life, because the heavenly planets are lower than the higher planets. The higher planets like Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, those planets are higher, so they have longer life as far as I can understand. Because Brahma lives for the longest duration of time. So demigods like Indra may have a shorter life than Brahma. So I don't know how it all works.
After each day, it's just a partial devastation. So the higher planetations we have. I don't know how many are. His planets are obviously okay.
Venus, you had a question as well.
Hare Krishna. Are these pastimes happening in the duration of the way we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam? They are happening in the one cycle of all the yugas, or it's like in one kalpa, or in one lifetime of Manu? Like what's
Well, it's describing different manus, so it means that, and also different kalpas, because there's a description of Lord Varahadev, how he appears in two different colours, and one Manvantara he appears in one particular colour, and another day of Brahma he appears in a different colour. So it's such a vast length of time that it's covering. It's not like chronological, but it's describing the different yugas and the Lord appears in different yugas, different manvantaras, different ages. So it's different kalpas. So it's actually describing different things. Like it's describing yuga avatars, the avatars that appear in a yuga, and then it talks about lila avatars. It talks about Manvantara avatars. So it's different avatars of the Lord. So they appear in different times, different time scales. Like Krishna appears once in a day of Brahma, right? On the 28th millennium of the Vaivasvata Manu, which we're in, that's when Lord Krishna appears. He appeared 5,000 years ago. So that particular pastime is also described, but there's also all the other incarnations that appeared. Matsya avatar, the Kurma avatar. So there are different millenniums, different yugas, different kalpas. I'm not really sure how it's all been described.
Not when Lord Chaitanya was here, he delivered the entire universe. And when Lord Ramachandra left, did he deliver the universe as well?
Okay.
Anyway, definitely Lord Chaitanya. So then, with that, if that happens every day of Brahma, does that mean the longest that you can stay in the material world is only one day of Brahma?
I'm not sure.
Still a long time, but could be reassuring.
Thank you. I've got a question. It's a bit of a change of subject, but you were talking about the different ages and how they relate to different metals, I guess. Like, was it silver, copper, gold, iron?
Yeah.
So they all have some value. Obviously, they have like a degrading value. So Kali Yuga is like the least valuable because it's iron. But I'm just wondering, what's the value of Kali Yuga? At least, I mean, I know, but could you speak on it a little bit? Mention something.
So although this is the age of iron, the iron age of Kali is the length of 432,000 years, which is the shortest of all the other ages. But although it's a degraded age and there are so many discrepancies within the age, it's an age of quarrel, hypocrisy, and people don't live for a very long time, and they're misguided, unlucky, and always disturbed, as we can see in the material world as it is. So, but there is one good quality, even although there's so many faults in the age of Kali, there's one good quality, is that just by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we can get free from the cycle of birth and death and go back to the spiritual world. And so this is the best method of self-realization, especially in this age, that's recommended. And because people are so degraded, they can't perform the processes in the other ages, like in the Satya Yuga, the process of meditation for thousands of years, Treta Yuga, this process of sacrifice, yagyas, fire yagyas, and the Dwapar Yuga had the self-realization was performed by temple worship, deity worship. But in this Kali Yuga, those processes, they take a long time to fructify, and there's so many things that need to be put in place, like cleanliness, lots of wealth, different opulences that are required. And so that's not really possible in the age of Kali. So in this age of Kali, it's recommended that simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, then one can get the same benefit as all the other processes, and even more actually. And it's the simplest and easiest method of self-realization. So in this age, this is the process that's recommended. So that's why we don't follow so much the other process like yogic meditation or fire sacrifices, or we still do some temple worship, but not the deity worship like was in Dwapara Yuga, which is full of opulence and grandeur. But the main process is chanting the holy names of God, and that helps us to directly connect with the Lord through this yoga, or call it kirtan yoga, this yoga of chanting the holy names.
In the particular Kali Yuga that we're in right now, we're very lucky that this one is the one that Srila Prabhupada was sent down. And there was a memory that I had recently. It was one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, and he said that Prabhupada was telling him that Krishna had asked Srila Prabhupada, can you come to the Mathura world? And he says, no, I don't want to come. And Krishna says, I'll give you any benediction if you do. And he says, okay, I want the benediction that if anyone renders sincere and serious service to me, that he's guaranteed of going home back to Godhead. And Krishna goes, okay. So we may see devotees come and devotees go, but when they're here, they may do some amazing service for Srila Prabhupada. So what happens after that, still they're guaranteed that they'll achieve perfection. So that's one special blessing that we have in this Iron Age. Because we're so, the odds are so stacked against us that then we become an object of Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
Anything else?
Yes, I was wanting some clarification on the point you mentioned about Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago. And I've heard different things about this. Does Krishna come in every yuga, or is this just a very special time in the whole creation where Krishna's been present? Because we hear that Lord Chaitanya comes once on a day of Brahma. So what about when Krishna descends in his own personal form, his original form? Could you explain for me, please?
So in every Dwapara Yuga, there is an incarnation of Krishna that comes, but it's not Krishna himself, it's an avatar of Krishna. So, and same with Kali Yuga, it's an avatar of Krishna that comes to propagate the holy names of the Lord. But in this particular millennium, then Krishna personally came in his own original form as Shyamasundar, and Lord Chaitanya came not as an incarnation, but Radha Krishna, and Krishna himself in the form of Radharani, in the middle of Radharani. So it's a very special, because Krishna personally appears once in a day of Brahma. So there's many times that Krishna sends, because there's many Kali Yugas and Dwapara Yugas within a day of Brahma, but in those, there's different incarnations that come. But this is Krishna personally appears once in a day of Brahma. Of course, Krishna is independent, he can come whenever he wants, but that's scheduled in the Shastras that he comes at that particular time. Does that make any sense?
Yes, that makes sense. I was just wanting the clarification. So is it also once in every day of Brahma that Krishna comes and Lord Chaitanya follows?
That Lord Chaitanya, that's Radha and Krishna, he comes on that particular Kali Yuga after that Dwapara Yuga that Krishna appears.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm stop. ISKCON Govinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Kudantai Mata Shishi ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Govinda.